locally owned. I'm from Amsterdam, so they can expect good football food, baseball food, pizza, wings, and beer. You know, you can bring your kids in, and, you know, they can play pool or play the video games, or they can sit with you and watch TV too, because you got TVs in every dining room. It's such a place that you can come in with your family and sit down. And again, it's family oriented because it's family owned. When you walk in here, it's like a TV show, Cheers. Everybody knows your name, and you can expect that from in here because everybody knows everybody else.
Sideline Guys back here at sidelineguys.recordernews.com, brought to you as we are every week by our friends at Crystal Ristorante. They're located at 72 Lion Street here in Amsterdam. With Michael Kelly, I'm Adam Schinder, and Michael, we're a few days late, a few dollars short, but Section 2 boys and girls basketball pairings, preliminary rounds got underway Friday night. Tuesday and Wednesday, the big action kicks off for all of our local teams. So we've had a few days to digest these brackets. The biggest thing between the boys and the girls that stuck out at you?
Oh, if we're going to put it that way, I'm going to say the biggest difference was I think the girls' committee in general did a really good job seeding these teams. Only a few discrepancies I had with them. I thought the boys, I think there's a lot of teams that it doesn't really make sense where they were. It seems like some of the criteria was a little bit different for them. So I would just say the bigger difference is I thought the girls' side was a little bit more competent.
Yeah, I'm going to go into a couple of those. On that boys' side, there were a few strange seedings. The Fort Plain boys, I think most people believe they really got bumped down, probably at least one or two seeds further down than most people thought they should have been. And then while the Amsterdam boys were probably seeded about right at 12th in the Class A bracket, 11th, 12th was probably where most people figured they'd be, having won only 3 regular season games. But the team they're drawing up against, Green Tech, pretty much consensus to the best or second best team in all of Class A. And they got moved down to the 5 seed, which is going to send Amsterdam for a very, very difficult first-round game Wednesday night in Albany.
Right. I mean, that Green Tech team, they went. I mean, they're an independent school, so they're not a league champion like some of these other teams are, which maybe makes them a little bit tougher to evaluate. They play a lot of teams from other sections. I think though, what they did, they put 2 Foothills teams in the top 4. You know, I mean, I guess these top 4, you can pretty much do whatever you want to with them, jumble them how they will since they are coming from different leagues, but it really doesn't make sense to me how Green Tech isn't part of that top 4 when you have both Glens Falls and Scotia from the same league above them, and a league that when Green Tech played Foothills Council teams, they beat them by 20 points each time. They played at least 4 or 5 games against Foothills schools, so they proved they could compete in that league at least.
Yeah, and as we mentioned, a lot of games get underway Tuesday night, Wednesday night. So of the games, there's a lot of local teams in action. Pretty much everybody heading to sectionals. From what you see, the most interesting game for a local team in the first round?
I think it's Tuesday night with the Fonda Fultonville girls, actually. They're a 11 seed going to play a 6 seed at Schuylerville. Fonda was 6-12 in the regular season. Schuylerville was 5-12. They both come from comparable leagues. Not really a huge jump up from either the Colonials or the Wazarin or in reverse. So they're going on the road as a heavy underdog seeding-wise. But this is a team that they could very easily pull that upset off, and that's what I have my eye on. What one do you have your eye on?
I'll stick with the Braves, but the male variety. They have to go on the road, a long road trip across the thruway out to Catskill, a 12-5 matchup in the boys Class B bracket. And Catskill's a team that they won the Class Double Bs last year. They went out, they kind of struggled on their way, lost 3 of their last 4 of the regular season, but they're still a pretty deserving 5th seed. The Braves have played a very tough Colonial Council schedule, but this Catskill team, I saw them a year ago when they beat Broad Alban Perth in the Class Double B semifinals. This team plays at an absolutely incredible pace. For a Class B team, they went over 100 points during a regular season game, which in small school leagues, that's really incredible.
Right, and about Catskill, just to add on, that 5 seed, they were probably the 3 before they lost those 3 or 4 to end the year for them. I think that's a really interesting game because both teams want to run and they want to shoot the 3. They want to make it a high-scoring game. But Fonda, their high-scoring game idea is maybe we get into the 60s. They want this to be run and gun, but kind of frantic defensively. Maybe force some turnovers. Whereas if this game gets into the 70s, that's a Catskill type game.
Yeah, I just want to touch on really an interesting game for me as well, simply because it's a team you really can't know much about. The Amsterdam girls play Albany Leadership Charter, which is the 6-11 game Wednesday night here in Amsterdam. And the Lady Rams have a team that they have to play against that has played a very odd schedule. They played 9 JV games, 9 varsity games. The good thing, I guess, for Amsterdam head coach Eric Dumler, he probably got a chance to see this team because the Amsterdam JV girls played Albany leadership back in December.
Right. I think one that we should be going back through the archives to find out is if a team in sectionals has ever played a team that played its JV team. It's really hard to think of that ever happening. I mean, they did beat the JV team, so should be a game, I guess, from that perspective.
All right, we'll broaden our perspective a little bit because there's just so much to talk about. We got 5 classes in each one. From the boys and the girls, one of each pick a dark horse and one team that you think is an absolute lock to win a sectional title.
All right, I'm gonna start with the boys, and my 2 picks are gonna be conflicting. I think the lock for the boys is obviously it would be Waterville Elite. They've rolled through that schedule. I think the dark horse, though, might be Caro Durham, who plays Waterville Elite potentially in the second round. Caro Durham is one of the hottest teams right now, and I think in the Class Bs, whoever wins that game, I think whoever wins that game goes on and wins that classification for the boys.
Yeah, I mean for the boys, it's easy to say that lock is Waterville Elite. I'll go to the Ds. I think Argyle is just a class above everyone in Class D. And then really, if you want to give a dark horse, I'd really consider a dark horse considering anything a 5 seed or below. I'll take the Fort Plain boys as a 6 seed. Team that they've played a very tough schedule as of late. They beat a very good Class D team in Sharon Springs. They really for about 25, 28 minutes went toe-to-toe with a McKeel Christian team that's the number 2 seed in the Bs. Really took 47 points from Collins Stewart to knock out the Hilltoppers there. So I think this Fort Plain team that got to the sectional semifinals last year, Harold Detmer brings that experience. I think that team can make a bit of a run.
Right, I think the tough thing for them is that after that first round game, they're going to have to play the 3 seed, then the 2, then the 1. It's just a very tough road. That is a team, though. I mean, you just have to get to the Civic Center, get to those Final Four, and anything could happen. On the girls' side, I would stick with Waterville Elite again as my lock. They're ranked number 1 in the state going into this tournament. And the dark horse for the girls, I think there's a lot of candidates. I think a team that sticks out to me right now is a team I've seen a little bit in the past couple weeks, which is the Duanesburg girls. They just won the WAC Cup. They upset Burn Knox to do it in the final. And they really went toe-to-toe with Burn Knox. It wasn't like a last-second fluke that got them the win. They pretty much controlled the entire second half, and they're playing really well right now.
Yeah, for me, I can't disagree with you on the lock. Waterville Elite has really been the class of Section 2, the class, maybe the entire state in Class B. A team that's really got a state title on its mind. But a dark horse, and not necessarily a dark horse to win it all, but a dark horse on the bottom side of that Class B bracket. I'm going to stay with the Broadalbin Perth girls because this team has the one thing that can give you a big help during a playoff run. They have a shooter who can get hot, and Caitlin Wood has had some big games. She had some big games in sectionals last year. This team came very close a year ago, 1 point away from knocking off Cohoes, which was state ranked at that point. I would not be surprised if they go in, if they've got a home game Wednesday night, would not be surprised if they win that 7-10 game, and then when they get into potentially having to play a 2-seed or a 3-seed, this team can make some noise having played in the Foothills Council all year.
Right, I mean, playing in that Foothills Council where they're the only B school playing with all A's, coming down, the competition's going to be a lot more on their level. If they get through that first game, I think things set up nicely for them. They avoid Waterville Elite until the final.
Yeah, it's an absolutely stacked week here in local sports. High school boys and girls basketball going on Tuesday and Wednesday. Teams looking to advance to action Saturday and Sunday. Plus this Friday and Saturday out at the Times Union Center in Albany, the state wrestling championships. Amsterdam has 2 representatives in Brandon Lappy and Mike Garrison. Plus now both Antonio Lanzi and Lucas Santiago both gearing up for the state swimming championships in 2 weeks. So we've got plenty to talk about as the month of February moves on here at the Sideline Guys. So for Michael, I'm Adam. We're the Sideline Guys. And we'll see you next time here at SidelineGuys.recordernews.com.